This is the Last Minute Blues Podcast with Donnie, Alex, Jeremy, and Jeff Burton.
It is the Last Minute Blues Podcast. Donnie Fandango joined in studio by Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic. And, dude, why do you boo yourself? Like, Alex is such a nice guy. You're such a nice guy. There are no reason for either of you to ever boo yourselves.
Who said I was nice? Way to get to know me.
Wait, you don't know us at all, Donnie.
I mean, I feel like I've known you guys for a long enough time to feel
Not
like you
the
can't
real
be
me.
faking it.
Yeah, JR takes his anger out when he gets in his truck
Ask
afterwards.
Alex. I complain about everything.
JR gets in the car. He's like, I hate this stupid article that I wrote, and I hate this guy, this stupid podcast.
Well, wait, is this about complaining? Because if it's about complaining, then we're all in the same boat, probably. I would assume.
JR likes to honk at people at red lights the moment the red light turns to green.
Oh, I hate that
The moment it flips red to green, JR is on his horn. Move out of the way!
Oh, dude, I cannot do that. Listen, there's a zillion ways to jump into this. I don't
How
even know.
about this one? I get a transition.
right.
Can't complain about the Blues.
Hey-oh!
How about that?
Boom, 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 and you boo yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is a professional.
God.
I think what's so funny to me is that every time this hockey season that I have in my brain thought, all right, well, this is it. Whether it be we're not going to make the playoffs. Yep. It's okay. It's okay. We're not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
And then, look what happens.
We made it.
Then down 0-2, and I am mentally preparing myself for the offseason. Hey, you know what? Be proud. Like I said in the last podcast, perspective, blah, blah, blah. And then shot out of a cannon for the last two games. Not only did the Blues win, but ladies and gentlemen, they whooped that ass.
Yeah.
They absolutely just destroyed Winnipeg. And the Jets can say all they want about not being worried, about not being in their head, about being believing in their goaltender, Connor Hellebuyck. But that has got to be a gigantic load of baloney. These guys have got to be flipping out internally after what they've been seeing the last couple days.
I think we need a T-shirt of Connor Hellebuyck skating off the ice and then Donnie's line that says, they whooped that ass. That's the T-shirt that needs to be there right now.
And he has been an MVP. Wait, hold on. Man, I thought of this yesterday when I was taking my walk. We'll keep going.
He'll get
but
back to that
it was
at some
really
point.
clever. I thought it was really clever. But anywho, I can't believe we're here.
Yeah, and also we're going to have to explain load of baloney to the kids listening. Like, do they even...
No. Nobody likes baloney. Everybody understands that. Everybody understands that.
So disgusting.
Yeah, baloney's all about that one. Look, I mean, I'll be honest. I won't be a hypocrite. I didn't expect that. I expected them to win Game 3. I thought Game 3 was going to be an overtime 2-1 final score, or Binnington was going to post a shutout. I did not expect them to go out there and just blow Winnipeg out of the water and chase Connor Hellebuyck. And then Game 4 was even more surprising because I thought Winnipeg was going to make adjustments. The whole time I'm thinking, all right, Scott Arniel's got 2 days to stew on this. Winnipeg's going to come out with a little bit more ferocity. Hellebuyck's going to be fine. They're going to get back to their stingy ways, and I thought that was going to be a loss. But I don't know if this is the Blues making Winnipeg look more human than what people believed that they were, or if this is Winnipeg just not understanding the moment. But either way, the Winnipeg Jets, to me, look broke. Now, they could go out and win game number 5, and we could be having a different tune before game number 6. Mm-hmm. But for me, today, on Monday, after game number 4, I'm not sure Winnipeg has the ability to pull themselves out of this because Hellebuyck looks like he is a head case right now, which you get yanked in 2 straight games, which, by the way, I saw Murat Ates put this out. The Winnipeg Jets, since 2019, have not won a playoff game after they have lost a playoff game.
Wow.
When they lose a playoff game since 2020, they do not win another playoff game. And you know that is in the mindset of all of those players. And listening to Scheifele after game number 4, where it was like, yeah, I don't think the Blues are doing anything. We're doing this to ourselves. Dude, you are not giving the Blues enough respect, which tells me they're going to be problematic once you get to game number 5.
Guys, I've given up. I've given up.
Predicting?
No breakdowns for
talking
JR.
about what could happen. Like, I've given up. This is like, it's almost like you're at the casino and you bet black on the roulette, right? But you're always
green.
so wrong. So you go, you know what? If I think black, I'm going to put it down on red. I'm going to pick opposite of what I think.
Right.
Like,
And then black
From
one.
now on this podcast, the rest of the season, all I'm going to talk about is what has happened.
There we go.
And not what could happen.
All right,
Like,
you know what? We're going to turn JR's microphone off.
I mean, come on, like 2 months ago, if somebody would have said, hey, in 2 months, there's going to be 18,096 people at Enterprise Center chanting, we want Connor, because he's just been chased from the second game, and now the Blues have tied. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on? Like, you get so caught up in what's going on right now with this series and with this team and that they're playing well. Let's not forget that this team shouldn't even be here.
Yep.
And now here they are 2-2 with the momentum, mind you, going back to Winnipeg. Alex and I talked about this before we went on the pod. I really think this schedule has helped the Blues. I really do.
Absolutely.
The 2 days off 3 times. They are going to play 3 games in 9 days. And Jim Montgomery made the point, Donnie, that the home team has the advantage there with all those days off. It took 6 days to play the 2 games, 3 and 4. Here in St. Louis, Winnipeg's cooped up at the hotel, stewing over a 7-2 loss. Connor Hellebuyck, he walks his 10 feet back and forth in his hotel room. Meanwhile, the Blues, they're 2-1 in the series. They're going for a walk with their wife, kids, everybody. I really do think that the Blues have regained the momentum, and I would be, well, I guess I can't talk about
Stay
what
with
happened.
saying red, JR.
85.
Yeah, you're not doing that. I will add on to that. I'm totally with JR. I think those days off have tremendously helped, and I think also it's because it's given the Blues the opportunity to heal.
I was just going to ask
Because Donnie, we were doing the game in game number 2, and we said Robert Thomas, Colton Parayko, they do not look 100%.
Yeah.
We had you on afterwards, and you said in the locker room, Thomas was limping around. Parayko only played 19 minutes in that game. They did not look like themselves. Then 2 days off, game number 3, both Parayko and Thomas looked like they were brand new. And that's what shifted this series. Look at the physicality that the Blues brought in game 3 and game 4. They're not playing that way if there's not these extra 2 days off. They're probably trying to, but man, you got a lot of lumps and bruises right now. But the fact that you get those 2 days off, Parayko looks like himself, Thomas looks like himself, that to me has been a massive story in this series.
All right, a couple of questions here real quick. One, what happened to the big, gigantic sequoia tree? Logan Stanley?
Yeah.
But I was listening to the game yesterday when I was walking. First of all, I know we have a great TV team in JK and Jamie. They do a great job. But holy Lord, baby Jesus, do I love listening to playoff hockey with Curbs and Joey.
Oh, yeah.
It is just so fantastic. And was I giving arm pumps when the Blues scored as I was walking?
I'm gonna yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, but
Was I moonwalking? Yes, I was.
I didn't yet, but we won't roll that out.
We'll get there.
So I did hear them say that Stanley was the most hit Winnipeg player in the first couple of games of the series. So is it residual effects of that for the big guy? I mean, is that why he wasn't in there?
I think so, because Arneal said afterwards is like, look, we've got some guys that have some lumps and bruises right now, and we just got to push through. He said everybody's hurt. To me, you don't take Logan Stanley out of this series if he's healthy, because that's 6'7" dude. And, I mean, he's the one that laid the massive hit on Jordan Kyrou.
That's right, yeah.
And the advantage Winnipeg has is you can't get to the front of the ice because that dude is so big.
Yeah.
So I know that they've had their ups and downs with Stanley this year. He's been in and out of the lineup, and they have extra defensemen. But, man, Hayden Fleury, the defenseman that went in for him, he has not played at all in the postseason. Colin Miller played in game number 3. So either they're panicking and that's one of the moves that they're trying to make happen because Fleury's an offensive-minded guy, or I think Logan Stanley's probably a little dinged up because the Blues have been targeting him.
Yeah, in the matchups, they try to get Thomas out there against Stanley, and so it's made easier at home with that last change.
All right, and I know that this is probably a silly question, but if you're Winnipeg, are you at all thinking about Hellebuyck sitting for Game 5? I mean, probably not. No, because he's an MVP. He's your guy. You ride him, but
Not
guys,
Game 5.
Guys, 817 save percentage. I thought in this series is what I saw.
Yeah.
Woof.
Well, me personally, you don't sit him in Game 5 because you're back on home ice, and Hellebuyck's been very good on home ice this season.
And it's your only chance to win the series.
Right. And we always say with Binnington, you don't go down with your guy without your guy on the bench. You don't go down with your best guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Now, if they win Game 5 or if they lose Game 5, I think Game 6 is a serious conversation because this just isn't 2 postseason series for Hellebuyck. He's been bad on the road since the Four Nations break. Coming into the postseason, he had an .895 save percentage on the road this season. So he's been unbelievable at home and basically a common person in between the pipes on the road. So if I'm the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, yeah, I'm seriously considering it on the road because it's very evident he's in his own head when it comes to those road games. But, man, for Game 5, you put Hellebuyck in there.
Yeah, you have to. Going back home. And then also, if you can get the win in Game 5, if you're Winnipeg, now you have a chance to come back home ice Game 7.
Yeah.
So you got to win one of two. So I think you put yourself in a good position. And, we've seen goaltenders like Connor Hellebuyck, they're able to recapture. Maybe he can't in the postseason. It's kind of been his reputation here, but you have to go with him. But like Alex said, like if they were to lose Game 5 and you're coming back to St. Louis, I think you'd have to think about it, especially if it's on him. The one thing I'll say is, there have been some tough goals. I mean, there isn't a goalie in the league that'll stop that deflection from Jake Neighbors. Like that. That's
or the one that went off the butt of the Jets player. What was that? The Falk goal?
Yeah, unbelievable. But you have goals. I think it was the Shen goal where what is he doing? He's kind of just on his knees, like he's in the living room, just kind of barely moving, sticking his stick out. It just doesn't look like a goalie who can win you a hockey game.
Well, and Thomas's goal, too. I mean, first of all, you had bad coverage by the Jets. I think Connor and Scheifele did not play the final 9.5 minutes of that game in Game 4, but Thomas was the one that just beats Kyle Connor and then beats Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, Hellebuck's weakness right now is his glove side. I mean, top shelf, that's what they're targeting. They've beaten him there. That's the Shen goal where he went above him. Hellebuyck, I don't know if that's just his kryptonite right now or if he's in his head, but yeah, I mean, there's some, and I saw Jesse Granger was talking about this on Twitter of The Athletic, where he was like, look, these are tough goals for Hellebuyck to give up. I could say that for some of them, but some of them, man, he has been beat point blank without shifting in between the pipes, and you could tell how he's playing, too. He's deep in his net. Yeah. He is not confident right now playing for the Jets, and so I understand Arneal's comments yesterday of like, look, he's our goalie. I have no concerns about him. You got to say that. It's your number one guy. Yeah. But I would almost guarantee internally there's some questions because Hellebuyck has struggled in the last 3 postseasons.
Donnie, what do you think about him not sitting on the bench yesterday after?
You know what I think of that.
Why do you think I asked?
Hey man, I played a bad game. I'm still with my team. I'm still fighting with my dogs. I'm still out there like. I don't like that. Yeah. And I don't know Connor Hellebuyck, and so whatever I say, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's a great guy, but I mean, man, you fight with those guys, man, and not all of your guys are having a good game too. So what? They get to go? I don't love that sort of thing.
And along those lines too. Just to kind of tell people what it's like post-game is typically, I think the Jets do it the same way as we do it with the Blues, is we give the public relations department like 3 guys that we want to talk to, and they bring those specific 3 guys to the locker room after the game. I'm sure the Jets media do the same thing. They probably asked for Connor Hellebuyck. I don't know if they did.
Yeah. But he didn't talk after Game 3 either.
He didn't talk, yeah. And my thing is, and I realize that I see this from the media perspective, so this is totally tainted. But if I were pulled in back-to-back games, or let's just look at Game 4 yesterday, even if the media is not requesting me, again, I don't know Connor Hellebuyck. You said you don't know. We're not here to be critical of the person.
Yeah.
We're just saying of the situation. You played a big part in this game. I don't care what the media rules are in 2025. You go up to the PR guy and say, hey, put me on the board. I'm talking.
Yeah, and that's the part for me that I really do wonder if Winnipeg is a little broken right now. Because if you're protecting Hellebuyck in that front, and again, this is no shot at the individual person. It's more just about the play on the ice. If you're protecting him because you don't want him to have to answer the questions of, are you concerned that this is going to be happening again over the last couple of years, there's a reason you're doing that. It's because you're a little worried about what Hellebuck's going to be for Game 5 and Game number 6, which to me, that's advantage Blues all day long, because if they know that you could be in the head of him, and I also think Arneal had some comments where it's like, ooh, man, after Game 3 where he was like, we were down 3-0 after the first period, the game was over. Dude, there's 40 minutes of hockey still to be played, and you're down by 3 goals. That's not a mindset that I would expect from a playoff team.
All right, so, and you guys can disagree with me here, but I feel as though a player like Connor Hellebuyck that is in the running for MVP, is one of your guys. He is one of the reasons that you're going to win or lose. He gets paid a ton of dough. I feel like he owes it almost to the Winnipeg fans to face the media and to talk about it. And it feels to me that he's sort of dodging a bit of his responsibility as a leader on the team by not talking about it and taking some heat for things that he genuinely deserves to take heat for.
Yeah, and I realize that there is probably a small percentage of people that care about whether the players talk after the game or anything like that. But here's my thing is, how many times does like a Braden Shen come out and exude some sort of confidence or at least take ownership for what the Blues didn't do well?
Absolutely.
And yeah, a lot of it's cliche. A lot of it's, hey, we don't care what they say after the game. You know, it's going to be the same old answers. But I feel like there is a responsibility for the team leaders to put on a face for 5 minutes and tell everybody it's going to be all right. And look, does everybody need that? I don't know. But when you come out in the next game, like, your team is going to take on the identity of your coach and your leaders. And if you have Mark Scheifele looking down at the floor while he's talking, you have Connor Hellebuyck not talking to the media, you have Scott Arniel saying, you know, the game was over, 40 minutes left to go. I mean, collection of that stuff is not good.
That's why I'm really curious what Game 5 is going to look like. To shift this to the Blue side of things.
Can't predict. Nope.
Yeah, Jer, you stay away from this one. Donnie, you and I will talk here. I am fascinated to see what Game 5 looks like because Jim Montgomery, he has told Curbs this on the pregame show. He loves playing the same team multiple times. Like he said, it takes him back to his college days to where you're game planning from game to game. To me, you've seen the adjustments that Jim Montgomery and his staff has made against the Winnipeg Jets. You've seen him get different line matchups out there on the home ice, which you typically get in this one, but you've also seen him insert other players into the lineup. Tyler Tucker for Ryan Suter, which has had massive impacts in Game 3 and Game 4. Texier, who has provided a little bit more offense. And to me, you've seen them play a little bit different than what they did in Games 1 and Games 2. Games 1 and Games 2 for the Blues, going into the playoffs, Montgomery said there was a massive emphasis on the defensive side of the game, right? He said that we put a lot of emphasis on how we were going to play defensively. And after they lost the first 2 games, he said we need to shift a little bit more to the offensive side. Guys, the defensemen have changed this series.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 14 points from your defensemen, which I think all of those points, with the exception of 2, came in Games 3 and Games 4. Winnipeg had no answer. The Blues had guys jumping up into the rush. One of the defensemen is playing with the forwards. They're cycling the puck. They're putting up all the points. To me, that's been a massive adjustment by the Blues in this series. And on the Jets, I haven't seen that adjustment. So that's why I'm fascinated to see what Montgomery is going to be prepared for in Game 5.
It's one of these, and there's been a couple times, and I can't exactly pinpoint when they were, but times where you kind of think, well, you know what? If this is going to come down to the coach, we're okay in this particular situation. We got a guy that, and I just feel like the strategery of all of this is something that coach really freaking loves. Yeah. It's so amazing to me though, guys, what we saw in Games 1 and 2 and what we saw in Games 3 and 4. What in the world in Games 1 and 2 led you to believe that you could see anything of what you have seen in these last couple games?
And that's what I go back to the messaging, especially with Jim Montgomery, and you just touched on it. He does love it because after they lose Games 1 and 2, we come back to St. Louis and we ask him about, hey, what do you like about this situation? He says, the adjustments, it's such a great cat and mouse game, and I can't wait to go back and forth with him.
And he genuinely loves it. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, to your point, too, of saying, like, who would have thought that you'd see that in Games 3 and Games 4? That's the part that's wild to me. Yes, they pulled themselves back into the series. Guys, Winnipeg didn't do in Games 1 and Games 2 what the Blues did to Winnipeg in Games 3 and Games 4.
Yeah.
Winnipeg won game number 1 by scoring with 90 seconds left in the third period, and then they won in Game 2 by scoring early in the third period, but both games the Blues were either tied or leading going into the third period. Winnipeg has only had the lead, I think it's for a total of 39 minutes in this series so far.
Man.
The Blues have just put Winnipeg in a position that they have not been in more than once this season. I think once this year, and it was back in November, Connor Hellebuyck allowed 5 or more goals and was blown out of the water. So think of that. Like, the Jets have never been in this position so far in this postseason, and the Blues have been in the driver's seat all but 39 minutes. That's the part that, man, if you're Winnipeg right now, you've got to be thinking, what the hell are we going to do?
Yeah. And what... How are we here? Yeah. You know what I mean? All right, so I know most likely not. But anything on Tyler Tucker and if he's going to be out. But it did not look like it was a good situation.
Yeah, no weight on that right leg. We don't know if it's a knee. They're supposed to get an update today, but I heard yesterday, from somebody down at Enterprise Center that it looks like he is going to miss some time, and they spoke with Ryan Suter and expect him to be in the lineup for Game 5.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the way he went down, not to speculate with this one,
Yeah.
but it did feel an awful lot like how Broberg went down earlier in the season, to where he just bent backwards. You could see it was really awkward.
You could see it in his face.
Yeah,
when he
you
came
saw
down.
him wince immediately, and that's really sucky for the Blues. It's like, you look at it on one hand, that's tough because Tucker, look at what he did when he was inserted in the lineup. He's provided offense, and he's provided that nastiness in front of the net, which I think is really good. But the positives to it, this is why you loaded up with veterans on your defensive core. This is why Ryan Suter is here. I'm sure he wasn't happy about being scratched in game number 3, but now you lose a Tyler Tucker. Suter just saw why Tucker was put into the lineup, providing that offense, playing with that edge. My guess is you're going to get a veteran who's a little hungry to get back into the lineup. So it's a good thing for the Blues to have a Ryan Suter.
Yeah, that's the tough part, though, because you're not going to get what you obviously got out of Tyler Tucker.
Yeah.
Hence, that's why Suter was taken out of the lineup. And we've seen it in the last 2 games. Like Tucker stepping up. Not only does he have the big shot from the point, which was that the first time he hasn't scored off a faceoff?
I know.
Usually it's off a faceoff.
But seriously, he shot that. I thought that was Parayko.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. 55 again, and then I'm like, oh, wait, no, that was Tyler Tucker.
Yeah, Jim Montgomery keeps saying you guys aren't giving him enough credit for his offensive ability, and I think that's a thing. And not only the shot and making plays, but watch him, just zero in on him. He steps up into that blue line and pinches, and sometimes he gets burned on that, but a lot of times he's keeping pucks alive, where Suter is more of a, okay, let's back up and play defense and get into the zone, and that's why Tucker's been in there, and so you're not going to have that element now.
Do you see a situation? Do you see Tyler Tucker being in the Blues' top 6 next year?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah.
Playing every game.
I feel like
this
he's going to be Suter next year. That bottom pair left-hand defenseman for this team.
And also, too, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but even as being a young physical player, Tucker seems to be pretty smart about when he picks and chooses his shenanigans. Yeah. Like, it doesn't seem like he's taking the dumbass penalty. Just go, God dang it, you young fella.
You saw that in game 2, right, when they went 11-7. And it felt like it was like, okay, now I know where the line is, and he stepped away from it for the rest of the series. But, I mean, he gets it post-whistle every single time. And it's not... I mean, he drew a penalty in game 4, if I'm not mistaken, where he kind of went into that scrum with Lowry, but he always kind of waits for that end of the whistle, and then when it's there, he never initiates it. He just skates into the middle of it and then lets Winnipeg go after him.
Just having him there, like, he should roll around like with a cell phone in his pocket, and he just goes, okay, here's Brady Tkachuk, here's Olivier, look what I did to those guys. Yeah, you're next.
Coming for, he's got like this little like checklist in the locker room.
Winnipeg is not playing very disciplined. They're not playing very smart.
No, the captain, Adam Lowry. I mean, that turned things around a little bit. They didn't score on that power play, but they got 2 goals later in the period after Lowry went nuts over there in the box. So you see the glove flies into that. I think there was a scuffle over there. They were trying to get the glove back.
I think every game except game number 2 has had a misconduct in it.
That's right.
And I believe the Winnipeg Jets, now the Blues have had one as well, but the Jets have had misconducts in every single game. JR, perfect point. I mean, when your captain's doing that, the team's going to react to it. And that's where I think the Blues also have the advantage. Man, the Blues are giving the Winnipeg Jets something that they have not had to deal with this season, because teams just try not to push against Winnipeg like that. And the Blues do, and Winnipeg's like, well, you can't do that, and then they react, and then you're getting those penalties, and the Blues have capitalized on those. Now, the power play has struggled, I think, in these last couple of games. They've got some late power plays, but Winnipeg's made the adjustment. But, yeah, I mean, Winnipeg, you could tell, gets frustrated. It's like when your big brother's always teasing you and you finally just hit that line and you start pushing back.
Right.
That's what it feels like with Winnipeg, where it's like, all right, knock it off.
I'm the big brother. I kept it going.
JR was the Blues. He just kept adding on to it.
All right, real quick to wind up here, guys. Wednesday night, what do you want to see from the jump, from the Blues? If we're watching this thing from home, we're feeling good if we're seeing the Blues do X, Y, and Z.
For me, it's get to the net again. I know that's super cliche, but
it's true. Look at 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4.
Post game yesterday, Monty even said it. He's like, we are doing an outstanding job getting to the front of the net. He said before the series, this series will be won. in front with the net front battle. Whoever wins that wins this series. That's what it's going to be. And honestly, I'd like to see the Blues if they could get a 2-goal lead on Winnipeg early in that game. Yeah, Winnipeg might be crushed at that point.
It's so funny because series are only, week and a half, 2 weeks? This one's like 6 months.
But JR loves Winnipeg this time of year.
Usually just a week and a half, right? And how the storylines change. Like, literally, I feel like a couple days ago I was writing, the Blues don't get to the net front. What's going on? They need to get to the net front. And then now
Stop going black, JR. Always go red.
Exactly. Then the other thing is, Alex talked about it earlier with the defense getting involved in the Blues aren't getting enough from their defensemen in game 1 and 2. They need more in the offense. And now all of a sudden they got 4 goals and 9 assists.
The Blues can't score at even strength. They need to be better at even strength. Oh, wait, there's 9 even strength goals in 2 games.
So, 4 goals, 9 assists in these 2 games in St. Louis from the defense. I broke down the shot attempts, too. Those are all the shots directed at the net. 107 shots directed at the net in games 1 and 2. I'm sorry, 3 and 4 in St. Louis, and 51 of those, 107, by the defense. I mean, that's
wow.
what the Blues have turned around. Generally.
Yeah. Well done.
Math, guys. Math.
Well, and by the way, that's all in the head here.
Yeah. Jared didn't have that on his phone at all. He wasn't looking at it on his lap.
Guys, this is so friggin' exciting. Yeah. Like, this is just really incredible, and who knows what happens here. But even in talking about this and being excited, in watching all 4 of these games, and I said this on the last podcast, and I won't beat a dead horse here, but it is so unbelievably exciting to see the young players and how they are responding right now.
Watch that table. Put a hole in it there.
Jimmy Snuggerud.
Snugs.
All freaking day.
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's just...
I will say,
this is great.
He's fit in like a glove on that line.
You don't even notice.
No.
Like, he makes plays, you notice him, but what I'm saying, you don't know. Like, it's not a guy playing his 11th game.
Yeah, it's not a guy that's making rookie mistakes. Like, he's not taking penalties. He's not turning the puck over. In fact, he's making defensive plays that I didn't expect Jimmy Snuggerud. People were so upset that he went back for that extra year, and that was the whole, it's like, oh, he's going to tell the Blues he's not signing and demand a trade. He wants to go to Minnesota. All of the rumors that Blues fans were putting out there. Man, talk about the benefits of him going back for that 3rd year, because he wanted to work on his defensive play, he wanted to work on his leadership skills, and then look at what it's done inserted into this lineup.
Yeah. Hey, before we go, can we play a quick game? I love this game.
Yeah.
Okay, we played it before.
Have we?
Yeah. It's does Donnie like this band? That's the game.
Okay,
all right,
let's go.
So I think it's tomorrow night at Canada Life Center in Winnipeg. There's a concert, so that's why Game 5 is Wednesday. And the concert is the band Bush. And I feel like whenever I talk to music people like Donnie, I feel like they're always, when you mention the name of the band, they're like, I love them. Or it's like this, oh, they're so fake. I hate them. I met them one time, and they're awful. And so anyway, I don't know where you're going to side on this.
First of all, I am completely fascinated. Bush is headlining an arena?
It said Bush.
Let's find out.
I wonder, because here's the first thing about that band. One, I've seen them a ton. The very first time that I saw Bush was at Mississippi Nights, and the lead singer, Gavin Rossdale, kept trying to fight somebody in the front row who was calling him a bad word, and I kind of sort of dug that.
I knew we'd have a background story here.
So a couple things. They are a fantastic live band.
Let's make sure I'm right first.
Bush loaded the greatest hits tour.
Wow.
With special guests, Rival Sons and Filter.
Okay, see, that to me, and I'm not trying to be mean here, it seems like a whole lot of empty seats on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night in Winnipeg, because I think Bush is really good, but at this point, when Bush comes to St. Louis, like they're coming later this year, they're opening for Shinedown at Enterprise Center. If Bush is coming here, they're playing the pageant, and it's probably selling out.
Does it matter that Canada Life Center, it's only 15,000? It might be.
I mean,
that's Enterprise Center, though, isn't it? Isn't Enterprise 17?
Oh, is that for music? It's less than the 18,000 for hockey?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I would think so, because
typically you go the lower.
Yeah, because you can kind of. I've seen them where they have like a sort of a.
They black out the behind the stage with the top section and things like that.
So that's a little like sort of crazy to me that they would be playing such a big venue. But what I will say about Bush and Gavin Rossdale is, of all of the rock stars that I have met multiple times in my career, he is consistently always awesome, and not just like you can tell. Listen, we know he doesn't want to be where he is when he's interviewing us. He would rather be a zillion other places. But every single time, whether it's me, whether it's Liv, whether it's the morning show, he is not good. He's great. Like, he fully really gets what he's doing. And so, like, when artists are like that, and really make it so easy for us to work with them, dude, I do nothing but root. You know what I'm saying?
Should I go?
JR just brought him up.
And also, too, seriously, they're really good live.
Wow.
I'm 100%.
JR just brought him up because he's mad they're making JR wait an extra day for game number 5. Bush, that's why he was like, can we talk about Bush? He wanted to feel the water before he dove in on the cannonball.
And what's so crazy is, like, Rival Sons, good band, Filter, good band, but, like, those are not bands that, like, draw super, super huge. But also, too, maybe things are a little bit different in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I was going to say, maybe Canada's got a different audience.
Maybe they're still living on that Everything Zen vibe from 1994 all over again. I don't know. But very good guy, and I mean a really good band. When you see them, you go, ooh, they've been doing this for a long time for a reason.
So, yes, go, JR.
Also, really quickly, there is a clip. Bert Kreischer was doing some kind of, like, during COVID, some kind of cooking type show where he had people come by and he would interview them while they were, like, making food. And so, and I don't exactly know the verbiage here and what they said, but Kreischer starts giving Gavin Rossdale crap about how hot his ex-wife is.
Oh.
And it went from, like, super funny and Gavin in to it being really uncomfortable for, like, a couple seconds. It's just a good watch. Just search Bert Kreischer, Gavin Rossdale. It's an absolutely fantastic and hilarious
I love
watch.
Bert Kreischer.
Oh, so much so. And also, if you've not heard the story about him and his kid and Whitney Houston, have you heard that one?
Heard that one.
Oh my God, it's friggin' amazing. Yep. You got to do that too. We got to wrap this up. There's other things to do. I have like 12 shows I have to record. For the Last Minute Blues podcast, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, Alex Ferrario from 101 ESPN, for our friend Jeff Burton, who would be loving this Blues playoff run so much. I'm Donnie Fandango, and as always, let's go Blues.
The Last Minute Blues podcast. Hear more at 1057thepoint.com.